Welcome back. In this demonstration, we are going to do the inking for our Manga 3/4 view portrait. In the US, if I were you, I would use a Sharpie, but I'm in Vietnam, so I have this TL permanent marker. It's very powerful. Like I was saying in one of my other demonstrations, it's so powerful it bleeds right through your paper and onto the table. So you should have, if you're in art class with me, you should have a piece of this brown scratch paper underneath you. And also, it's so powerful that even after you have inked your paper, it will bleed out the front of the paper if there's another piece of paper on top. So we'll make sure to put these in the drying rack when we're done, and let them air out so that they don't get bled onto each other and have different images kind of superimposed on top of each other. In all the other videos, we worked out our proportions, our sizes and places. In this part, you can fine tune if you need to move something around a little bit. But mostly we're focusing on the line and the kind of line that we're making, whether it's thin, whether it's thick, what direction it's going, and of course whether it's an implied line or not. In the other video I talked about implied line and how you kind of leave a gap where the line is less important, and you make sure that you have a strong line here, like in the curve, where the idea is important. That curve is the important part of the line, so you want to leave something there. And of course, our shape, whatever shape you have, like the eyes or the points on the hair or something, you want to make sure those are done correctly as well. The last part is making sure that you're inking the lines you want to keep, such as, you know, the ear, but this line that goes, my old guideline that goes through the ear, obviously I don't want to ink that, so I can erase it. All right, as you get started, also make sure that you're dealing with your overlapping very well. So like if I start with this piece of hair line here that comes down to her eye, I'm going to want to make sure that my eyebrow here goes behind that piece of hair, right? So that the overlapping on that looks correct. Same thing with the eyes. Now this is a female portrait, so I'm going to make the eyelash line here just a bit thicker so that it reads more feminine. But if you have a male character that you're working on, you might want to make that just a bit thinner. Okay. Unfortunately, these markers that I've got in class are super thick. And even the thin side is very thick. So if you're working with these in class, of course, make sure you're careful. If you're at home and you have the opportunity to get a thinner marker, I would suggest using that for the more delicate parts of your drawing. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the eyes here, so that I can make sure I've got a nice solid line for the eyes, and I have enough room to put that secondary lid line in, which is actually a little bit too high there now, but it is what it is. I'm doing a little less good job on my implied line on this drawing here, but of course, you know, do what you can. Sometimes you have a better drawing you're working with than others, and of course better material. Okay, here's my other eyebrow line. All right, for the nose here, and the mouth. And some people might wonder how I got this shape. I did that so it was in line kind of with the eye there. So it's just going over the center line a bit. Here we go, starting the hair, the ear, and then the jaw. I'm going to leave my implied line right here. Implied line right there. And come up that way. So I'll have that implied line there later. Alright, put on the shoulder. And I'm just going to put a little line out here because I think I might put a dress on her or something later, kind of like my other portrait. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then that'll give me some room to work later with her clothing. All right, and then here, bring this line down, touch it right on that eyebrow. This one more, Now this one I'm changing just a bit because I didn't quite like the curve of it. This one I'm going to change just a bit as well. It's because I didn't quite like the curve of it. And this one I'm going to just change the placement of as well. So you can adjust as you go a little bit if you have the opportunity to. It gives you a little bit more freedom. Okay. Now in art class we are going to be painting these, so your need to be your need for precision in the inking is a little less because we're actually going to be painting these. We might not even ink these in class because we're going to have opportunity to paint them. But if you're going at home and or you want to use some watercolors on these or something, that might be an opportunity to then do your inking. Now that one I changed quite a bit, but I wasn't really liking the curvature at which it was going. There, that makes me feel a little better. All right, now I've got all my inking done. I've got some implied line in, and I'm going to take my eraser now and erase. Oh, whoops, I almost forgot these little lines here. All right, and if I had a thinner marker, I would definitely use it on that more delicate part. So here we go as we start our erasing. Again, if you're a younger student or you haven't really done much of this kind of artwork, as you're erasing, be really careful not to damage your paper by pushing too hard, or when you're going back and forth to have it bunch up and crinkle on you. I'd like to tell students kind of always pull one direction with your eraser. Even though it looks like I'm going back and forth, I'm really pulling down, bringing back, and then pulling down again towards me so that I don't crinkle my paper. Now once you get all your erasing done, you might find some places you'd like to touch up a bit. Alright, now as I'm going through this, you see my paper is starting to bunch up because I'm getting impatient. So do take your time. You don't want your paper to get ruined now at the end. Okay, and you do have to press hard to get some of those pencil lines. I guess mine's darker than yours should be. I pressed really hard just for the purpose of the video. But there we go. My inking complete. Now, if I look back here, there was one place I was not so happy with, but I'm not seeing it, so I guess I'll just leave it. I've got my implied line here. I've got some implied line here, and these could be acting as implied lines. I guess maybe this is the one place that I was not so happy with because there's a little ding there in the line. So that concludes our inking. Again, making sure that your line and your shapes are very nice and neat, and you have some implied line and some thin versus thick. Okay, and that concludes how to ink our Manga 3/4 view portrait.